You know, the DOJ attorney in this case, Drew Ensign, argued that, quote, all of these children have parents or guardians in Guatemala who have requested their return. And of course, that does seem like an important factor to consider as we're wading through this.
Sure. And if they should be returned home, they should be done so in a legal manner. They shouldn't be dragged out of their homes in the middle of the night, put on a plane, and flown out without any due process, without anybody knowing. This is the problem with the Trump administration. They're not actually trying to solve the immigration problem. They're just being cruel and trying to get headlines. Democrats would work with them if all they wanted to do was get rid of criminals and people that had come here and committed crimes and gang members, which that is what they said they were going to do. Grabbing 10-year-old children and throwing them on a plane in the middle of the night is just a horrible thing to do as a human being. I don't understand why this couldn't be done in a normal process. These are children. If you want to get them home to their parents, great. Just do it in the normal, humane way, and nobody would have a problem with it.
Simon, I've got to get your take on this. I mean, we're not sure, you know, I don't know if there were any cameras that watched these children coming out of their homes, but it does seem very drastic, the way that this was handled. How do you see it?
Look, when he says the normal, humane way, and when people on the left talk about due process, what they mean is the process ends with the alien, whether it's an adult or a child, remaining in the United States. Now, I don't know who's speaking on behalf of these kids, but they weren't dragged out of their homes. Remember, their parents and guardians are back in Guatemala, and an arrangement was made with the government of Guatemala to get them back where they belong with people who can care for them. Now, I've heard that some of them are orphans. Well, how does an orphan end up in the United States? If the parents died, which would be tragic, then surely they'd want to be with the aunts and uncles and other close family back home who could support them. There was another case where they said a child was on dialysis and awaiting a kidney transplant. Well, if the idea is that every poor unfortunate in the entire world who is on a list for an organ transplant has a right to an American citizen organ, then we've really opened up a whole new era of immigration law that it just isn't there in the statutes.
Yeah, it's very interesting the way this is playing out. A lot of people taking very close attention to this, especially when we are talking, again, about very young children here. Simon, the Trump administration has faced hundreds of lawsuits already in the second term, another part of this that we're watching. Over 100 actions have been blocked, 80 have been left in effect, and almost 90 suits are still pending. So when you take a look at those stats, you've got to wonder if the administration is not doing things the right way.
Well, some other stats that are worth looking at are where are they bringing these cases? They're overwhelmingly bringing them in districts where the judges were appointed by Obama or Biden, and where there are judges who are more activist than, let's say, traditional. A traditional judge is supposed to look at the law and decide, is the law being conformed to, being comported with by the action that's taking place? An activist judge looks at the goal they want to accomplish, which in this case would be children remaining in the United States, and figures out a way to get to that decision. So I think those statistics are deceptive in that everything is being thrown at every single action the Trump administration takes to carry out immigration law enforcement. And yes, they're going to have some wins at the lower level, particularly among district judges in places like Washington, D.C., but they're going to win at the Supreme Court and the higher levels because what they're doing is in conformity with the law.
Jonathan, I've got to get you to weigh in on these lawsuits. Do you agree?
Yeah. Well, just to be clear, there are no Biden, Trump, Obama judges. They're judges who follow the law. If you don't like the law that they're ruling on, that's your problem. They've also lost at the Supreme Court. They've also lost at many levels. So, you know, you can pick and choose which judge you like and you don't like. The Trump administration has done that on many occasions. They did that during the Biden administration. I don't recall you having a problem with that at all. So I think when we pick and choose and we say, oh, they're a liberal judge or they're a conservative judge, they're not. They're a judge. They follow the law, and they've decided, this judge decided, they broke the law. That's how our system works. I'm sorry if you don't like that, but that's the system that we've set up. They can appeal it to another court, and that court gets to rule on it. It can go to the Supreme Court, but the Trump administration has lost at every level. So maybe they should just try following the rule of law, and they wouldn't have this problem.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.